It's Thursday, June 24th, and the time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. A case brought by a group of students and parents against the Caribbean Examinations Council has been thrown out by a local High Court judge. On Wednesday, Madam Justice Michelle Weeks ruled against the claim for judicial review of the process of CXC's 2020 exams and those pending for 2021. Emmanuel Joseph has more in this report.
After hearing arguments from CXC's legal counsel Ramon Allen QC and Richie Nichols and lawyers Brian Weeks and Liesel Weeks for the aggrieved students and parents, Justice Weeks held that the council has by law immunity from suit and all legal processes. She also ruled that the certificate of the Minister of Foreign Affairs certifying the immunity of CXC was conclusive as provided by the legislation of such immunity. This means that the court has no jurisdiction to review the actions of the regional body as it relates to its interjurisdictional obligations in the administration of the regional exams. Justice Weeks further held that CXC qualifies as an intergovernmental organization and is not an authority of the government of Barbados. The court also struck out the claim against Minister of Education Santia Bradshaw and Attorney General Dale Marshall, the second and third defendants, respectively. I'm Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
Businesses that employ more than 25 people but have no safety and health committee in place are being warned that they are breaking the law. Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations Colin Jordan issued the reminder on Wednesday of the legal requirement under the Safety and Health at Work Act. At the time he was delivering the feature address at the launch of the Farmer Wellness in the Community program being spearheaded by pharmacist Lennox Prescott.
I'm taking this opportunity to remind organizations, employing organizations, that there is a requirement in the Safety and Health at Work Act for organizations employing 25 persons or more to have a Safety and Health Committee. In other words, if you employ 25 persons or more and you do not have a Safety and Health Committee, you are breaking the law. And I'm putting it in that way because just like we look at those who shoplift as breaking the law, if you do not have a Safety and Health Committee at your workplace, you are breaking the law. Those with under 25 workers are mandated by legislation to have safety delegates, and those safety delegates are to be selected by the workers. The selection of safety delegates is not in the purview of the employer. Safety is a matter that impacts workers, and the Safety and Health at Work Act is intended to ensure that workers feel comfortable from a safety and health perspective.
Minister Jordan, however, explained that the act was implemented with no regulations, but that would be addressed come August.
The Safety and Health at Work Act is a 2007 piece of legislation, but there are no regulations to provide details for the more effective administration and implementation of that piece of legislation. And so we, at the Ministry, through the Labour Department, are in the final stages of our work with the Chief Parliamentary Counsel's office. And this is preparing regulations. These regulations will address the provision of PPE. For example, it speaks, as another example, to the limits to exposure to noise, loud noises. It speaks to the provision of sanitary facilities, the provision of drinking water, among other requirements. I expect to be able to take these regulations to Parliament sometime during the month of August.
The Democratic Labour Party has welcomed the government's decision to fully reopen Barbados to business on July 1st. However, party president Verla de Pisa has warned the Mayor Motley administration against complacency when it comes to the travel protocols as visitors come to these shores.
The Democratic Labour Party is pleased with the progress the country has made since lapsed travel protocols and complacency in December last year resulted in a 6-month setback to our economy. As we look set to reopen the country come the 1st of July, it is hoped that the Motley-led administration has learned from the mistakes of the past and will not play fast and loose with the travel protocols going forward. Because, let's face it, Barbadians have obeyed the directives and followed the guidance of the medical practitioners. Government must now do all in its power to safeguard lives and livelihoods by keeping COVID at bay, particularly as variant strains have already shown up on our shores. We need no reminder of the enormous difficulties small and medium-sized businesses experienced during the last 6 months, particularly those related to entertainment, transport, and leisure, and for whom no meaningful stimulus package has been declared. When set alongside the body blows dealt by the rising fuel prices, which impact on the cost of everything from utilities to storage and transport, and recognizing that entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized businesses contribute significantly to the provision of sustainable employment in Barbados, it is our hope that the government will recognize that simply removing the curfew is not enough.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbours now. The continued postponement of the sitting of St. Lucia's Parliament has garnered much public debate in recent weeks. However, Prime Minister Alan Shastney explained that the situation was as a result of insufficient consultation on several bills. We get more in this report from HTS News Force.
We had some very important bills to be able to pass, and the level of consultation that I was assured that had happened had not happened. And so it's very important, particularly in this particular season where everything is exaggerated, that we get it right.
That's the word from Prime Minister Alan Shastney addressing the postponement of Parliament. The general public has been asking questions of the current administration after the second postponement of a planned sitting of Parliament in less than 2 weeks.
We had several bills that had several entities, and once I satisfied myself that everybody has been properly consulted and everyone's concerns have been brought to bear, then we will proceed.
The public scrutiny, however, was further compounded by rumors of tension among cabinet members and the supposed ill health of high-ranking officials in the government. These reports have since been dismissed by Senior Communications Officer in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nicole MacDonald.
And finally, on the international front, a total of 184 countries voted in favor of a resolution to demand the end of the United States economic blockade on Cuba. The United States and Israel voted against the resolution during a meeting held on Wednesday at UN headquarters in New York, while 3 countries, namely Colombia, Ukraine, and Brazil, abstained. Speaking before the vote, Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez Parilla said it was unacceptable that the U.S. government for 28 years ignored consecutive resolutions of the United Nations General Assembly. He said the sanctions have made it harder for his country to acquire medical equipment needed to develop COVID-19 vaccines, as well as equipment for food production. That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.